Ready. Click here to start streaming. Bro, that is... I'm gonna tell you right now, it's live now. It's definitely live now. I'm gonna tell you right now, that's annoying. That's annoying as shit. So check this out. All right, for those of you who care, I know Sigfang streams. I know Susan, you streamed before. That is wild. So when I want to stream on Twitch, I come in, I update like what it's going to be about, the title. I start my OBS. Hey, the scene's good. Click. What's going on, Maneater? Click. Go live. Boop. I'm live. So to do YouTube, I gotta go schedule a YouTube event, live stream. Dr. Midnight, what's going on? Welcome. I gotta go to YouTube. I gotta schedule an event, and then I gotta get the key, come back to OBS, put the key in for the scheduled event. I go live here, and then I go back to the live event so I can go live there because it'll tell me like, all right, your streaming software is live. Now come back over here and go live. What? What? That is ridiculous. That said, if y'all could just do me a solid. Whenever I go live, be wherever you're comfortable. If you're used to coming here, then be here. Over there is not going to have any emotes or anything like that. But if you could just do me a solid and jump over there, click like, and, mute the tab or whatever, and then just have that shit playing. I would like to see if I can get, some traction over on YouTube. And if I could ever get monetized over there, maybe I switch, maybe I don't. I don't know. More than likely what'll probably happen is I'll just keep simulcasting. And that's what we'll do. But yeah, so I figured out how to do the simulcasting finally. And even have like a little combined chat thing, so which I think is against the rules, but this channel is so small, I don't think anybody will notice. It's not like, Hassan will do it, but like Hassan can't do that shit. They'll write him a letter or whatever. But like, for instance, if I come over here and say test in this chat over here, yeah, there you go. Then the YouTube chat. So like YouTube and Twitch are all in the same chat. So that's pretty dope. And check this shit out. There you go. What's up, Susan Turpin over on YouTube? All right. And then there's this one right here. Boom. Look at that. It's like it's pretty much the same thing over Blurred Without Fear had. This one's a little different because it has the chat also. So you'll probably see I won't speak for him. I don't know like if he set it up or not, but I'm pretty sure you'll start seeing Nerds of Culture and Blurred K. He's gonna start simulcasting all around the world, and I can't find my baby. Anyways, there are a couple different 7-stream streak. It's good to see you back, Dr. Min. I know you were super busy there for a while. Glad to have you back. I reached out, but like sometimes I'm like, well, I don't want to be weird, but just know that for the people who are regulars, when you're gone, I notice. And if I don't reach out, it's because I don't want to be a weirdo. I'm imagining, because I imagine I hit up a stream every now and then and go in, and then all of a sudden I'm like, somebody, hey buddy, hey, everything all right? I'm like, yeah, man, I just don't want your shit anymore. I gotta get my dad mode out of me. What do we got going on? One thing I will say about YouTube is y'all know the way this show goes down. regarding like just sub. Hey, thanks for the sub. Oh, see, that's what I gotta do. See, that's what I don't have. I don't have alerts for YouTube either. Thank you for that, Smoke One. Thank you. I need to have like a sub alert thingy thing. 445. That's what's up. That's what's up. See if we can. You know what I would like to do? Here's a goal. All right, you guys ready? So it's December 29th. Last year this time, let's talk about goals, right? Let's talk about the new year. Last year this time, I was getting ready to retire from the Air Force. I would be fully retired in about 2 months. I was doing my data analytics course, so I was split between time, but I knew that once I retired, I wanted to try to make this as full-time a deal as possible. And I'll tell you, I read some of the feedback from the survey. First of all, I want to thank you all for those of you who did fill that out. I really appreciate that. It helped a lot. Some people are funny, but oh shit, DSB coming in with the first. That's what's up. Actually, yeah, that reminds me. Let's see. Sig Fang is a mod, no longer qualified. Smoke One got the diamond, already on it. Doggone it. That's what's up. That's what's up. But yeah, so I decided. I said, I want to make this a full-time deal. Now, if I look at the feedback, which again I appreciate, I want to make some changes for the new year, but when I want to assess how I think I did between the last new year and now, I think it's still live. I think it's still live, actually. Here, let me do that now since we're almost. If you haven't done the survey, let me go over here. Let me grab it real quick, because I mean, honestly, any like literally any, even if it's like, hey, keep doing what you're doing. Like I'm like, okay, cool, I got that. I got a couple different ones. Let's see. Actually, that's what we're gonna do after the new year. The first stream after the new year. I'm gonna see what things I'm gonna action. And then we'll go over some of the responses that I got, and then how I think I'm gonna attack some of these things. But I know off rip, what I'm going to see, what I'm gonna try to do is I want to make the streams a little bit shorter. I never expected anybody to stay all stream. I know when if I got a 4-hour stream, there's no expectation. My own wife is not going to sit there for 4 hours. The strategy behind that was I look at some of the other bigger streamers who will stream like 6-7 hours, and the strategy was, if I stream for, let's say, 3-4 hours or whatever, that's a long time for people to come in and out and discover and things like that, right? I sit here for 4 hours. If it was a man-eater stream, I'd keep that. She has a camera, she has a computer. I keep telling her, we'll see. Maybe one day. I think she just doesn't know what kind of shows she wants to do. But yeah, so shorter streams. I think I'm gonna kind of keep it. Yeah. DSP says, come in here, get my time, throw down a first, and then I'm out. Listen, I'm gonna be honest with you. Even if you lurk, especially if you want to do that over on YouTube, for watch time and the analytics over there, I would be very appreciative. Let me put the commands back on. I think the commands work. I tested them. I was wondering if there was something wrong with my PayPal, but all right. So there you go. There's the new stuff. There's the new chat. There's the new clicky clicks. You got the survey link in there. Let me throw the, well, there you go. I was trying to highlight it, but it threw it on the screen. There's the YouTube channel if you want to just go throw a like and mute it, just hang out. That would be dope. That would be dope. What do we got going on today? So, of course, we're going to start off with Democracy Now! Because that's what we do. We get caught up. We get caught up on life events. But we are going to get into Briahna Joy Gray. The headline, the caption says Briahna Joy. So I'm like, does she only go by Briahna Joy or is it Joy Gray? I don't know. Anyways, listen, we've talked about Briahna Joy before. I do not get into Beta. The weirdo CJ Amaris. CJ Amaris. Thank you for the follow. I'm always like, I'm gonna get this. I'm gonna figure out how to say this damn name. I appreciate the follow. Listen, I've talked about Briahna Joy before. Well, that's a lie. Let's say somebody like Blurred, for example. Let's say he makes a take that I don't agree with. Am I gonna go ham on him? Probably not, right? But that's because he is my actual friend, and I think that's weird. You know what I'm saying? He's never said anything, but I was just using that as an example. What I don't get is when people do that for people they don't know. Like, look, I don't know these people. I don't know Keffels and Xander Hall and all that. You know what I mean? If you do know them personally and you take things to heart, then fine. But my point is that you could easily find me doing a video thinking that Briahna Joy's takes on voting is brain dead. It is brain dead. Although I'm getting less and less upset about it as time goes on, given the decisions that Biden is making. But I don't agree with them. But let me tell y'all something. When it comes to the Palestine Israel situation, Briahna is on it like white on rice. She is not missing. And so we're gonna watch a video today where she kind of goes at it on the Hill with a journalist. And I love it. I watched it and I said, damn, like you wouldn't even known that I was talking the shit that I was talking when we were going over her takes. Let's see here. We are gonna do ACAB today as well, but not before rather. We get episode 7 of Miss Me Yet down. Miss Me Yet, I feel bad because there's been just things that kind of been moving around. We haven't finished the documentary yet. I talked to the creator in the first, I think it was episode 2 or 3. The actual writer, director, the creator of the documentary was in our chat talking with us. And I just never got around to finishing it. And I'm gonna. Sig Fang made sure that was one of his first messages. Are we doing Miss Me Yet or not? So he's right. So we're gonna watch Miss Me Yet, and then we're gonna get into ACAB, and then we're gonna get into some what you call it, brain rot. So let's go ahead and get Democracy Now! Started. Oh, I remember now. Saying that sentence reminded me. Oh, you know what else? We'll see. I didn't get a chance to read up, but what is that? Maneater, are you still in the chat? Somebody was released today. Who is the girl who killed her mom and was a victim of Munchausen by proxy? She got released today. Gypsy Rose. Yeah. Gypsy Rose was released, and I was gonna talk about that today, but I don't know if I don't know if I have anything to say about it, except like I feel like that's one of those things to where we would watch it and I'd be like, dang, that's crazy. she always wants me to do, because we listen to true crime. She's like, you should do true crime. I'm like, yeah, I mean, that'd be fun, but unless I'm doing the actual research, like I'm watching it and be like, that's my commentary. Wow, dang, that's why. Ooh, you just, you know, no. Like, what am I supposed to say? Here, Democracy Now, where we get where we can listen to this lady's spit, Amy Goodman, because Democracy Now refuses to put a sound gate on her stuff. All right, let's get in it. I would just be like, holy shit, dude. Now yeah, exactly. Like, listen, it's already, I am well aware that it's already borderline. It's borderline what I do now. Okay. I've talked about this before, and I probably keep bringing it up because it's a point of insecurity for me. I don't know. You know, what is it? The lady doth protest too much. So like, I look, it's not like, oh, like I'm sitting there and I spent all day in the library and I'm pouring through books and I'm getting ready for this big research project. It's like, I have an opinion. I like hearing myself talk, and I like you all. So let's watch some videos and let's have an opinion. But if I'm watching something that I don't have like a strong opinion on, I'm just doing it for my own entertainment, then it's kind of like, nice. Listen, YouTube has different rules about like what you can stream and what you can't stream. So if you ever get comfortable and you're over there, just know that I don't know. I don't know how long this dual streaming thing is gonna survive this content. So we'll see. All right, let's get this going. Democracy Now, December 29 updates.
This is funded by viewers like you. Please support our work at democracynow.org/give. Welcome to Democracy Now!, democracynow.org, the War and Peace Report. I'm Amy Goodman. Another 187 Palestinians have been killed in Gaza over the past 24 hours as Israel continues to attack refugee camps and other areas across the Gaza Strip. Gaza health officials say the Israeli assault has killed more than 21,500 Palestinians over the past 12 weeks. In central Gaza, Israeli attacks killed at least 35 Palestinians in the Nusayrat and Maghazi refugee camps. At least 20 more Palestinians died when Israel attacked a residential building near the Kuwaiti hospital in the southern Gaza city of Rafah, which is overflowing with displaced Palestinians. One 13-year-old Palestinian girl named Nadine Abdulatif said Israel bombed the shelter where she and her family were staying after their home in Gaza City was blown up and one of her brothers killed.
Nope, it's okay. It's okay. There was a Hamas. There was a Hamas fighter there. He was hiding. He was laying down in a tunnel underneath the building, and they just had to kill the 100 people. Like, what do you want them to do, people? What do you want them to do? You know, it sounds like making fun of them for 2 months now. You know, not making fun of them, but like making fun of the tired, repetitive talking points for this sort of genocide. But as you will see, here's some spoiler alerts for y'all. As you will see later on, they literally, unironically, will keep saying it. They will see the numbers, they will see the death toll, and there will be nothing that comes out of their mouth except, what did you want Israel to do?
Where am I supposed to go? Children were killed here. 26 people were killed here. I'm terrified. I'm scared, and the thought of me being killed or my other brother being killed just crossing my mind repeatedly. I already lost my older brother. I can't lose my younger brother. I have no one left. No one to look up to. You can clearly see that the houses are sticked together. So when they target one house, they're targeting a whole block by this point. And it's unfair. Why can't we live normally? Why can't we live a normal life? I mean, we're children and we're people. Children were killed here. Imagine, children, babies.
In more news from Gaza, Israeli military officials have admitted it carried out a deadly strike on the Maghazi refugee camp on Christmas Eve that killed at least 70 Palestinians. The IDF says it, quote, regrets the harm caused to civilians and claimed Israeli troops had used the wrong type of bomb. An Israeli official said, quote,
the type of munition did not match the nature of the attack, causing extensive collateral damage which could have been avoided. Okay. I want you to understand something. Sometimes in a way that I probably isn't even deserved, I will sit there and say things like, I don't know, they're being irresponsible. I don't know if they're like targeting civilians, like I want civilians that, but we now know they are. It's called power targets. They do it for psychological effect. However, in my profession, what I did in the U.S. Air Force was literally to call in bombs on enemy targets. And you know what you don't do when that happens, especially on their level. And when I say on their level, I mean on the level where they are going after what's called, they're like designated targets. These are pre-planned targets. And when you have pre-planned targets out there, even though now they're doing with AI and they're setting up a bunch of stuff, like these planes, they don't go up in the air and fly and they just have like every bomb available. You know what I mean? Like, it's not like, yep, I have 17, you know, if it's like a B-52 or something, yeah, they will. But if you have like a fighter jet, especially something as small like an F-16, the F-16 goes up. What is on that plane is specifically, it's purposefully put on that plane for a specific target. Like, okay, we're going after target sets, you know, 11 Alpha Bravo all the way down to 99 Alpha Echo. And we're going to strike all these pre-planned targets, and each one is set up to an aircraft, and that aircraft gets the order. They do their pre-planned, they do their pre-mission brief. They're sitting in the office. They're doing their map study. They're saying, okay, I'm going after this one, this one, this one. They have complete air superiority because Gaza doesn't have any air defense, but they gotta look out for like rockets and shit, I guess. But you don't go. It's not like, oh fuck, I left my 500-pound bombs at home and I only have 2,000, or it's like, okay, coming in, you know, pickle or whatever, right? I'm weapons away. You hit the button, weapons away, and it's like, that wasn't the 2,000-pound bomb, was it? Oh no, like, no, bitch, that was all planned. And they've already told them on themselves before, where they'll tell you straight up, this is like, everything is deliberate. Everything is planned. There is no accidentally dropping a bomb that's too big for the job. You did that on purpose. And now they have a new tactic, because they go, well, if we deny it when it happens, we got to apologize for some. That way, when we deny it the next time, we admitted it before. So obviously, we would do it if it was our fault, but this time it wasn't our fault type shit.
The type of munition did not match the nature of the attack, causing extensive collateral damage which could have been avoided, unquote. Despite the admission, Israel continues to attack the Maghazi refugee camp. On Thursday, at least 5 people were killed when Israel bombed a...
How about that but for an apology? Hey, I'm really sorry. That was uncalled for. We should not have used that kind of bomb. All right. We have some more targets in that area to hit, so I got to run.
UN-run girls' school at the camp, which was housing displaced Palestinians. According to UNRWA, the UN Relief and Works Agency for Palestine refugees, at least 308 people at UN shelters in Gaza have been killed so far. Another 1,100 have been injured. The United Nations is also warning about increasing Israeli military and settler attacks in the occupied West Bank. According to the UN, at least 300 Palestinians, including 79 children, have been killed in the West Bank since October 7th. On Thursday, the UN High Commissioner for Human Rights, Volker Turk, decried settler violence targeting Palestinians.
The dehumanization of Palestinians that characterizes many of the settlers' actions is very disturbing and must cease immediately. I call on Israel to take immediate, clear and effective steps to put an end to settler violence against the Palestinian population, to investigate all incidents of violence by settlers and Israeli security forces.
In Tel Aviv, hundreds of people took part in Israel's largest peace rally since Israel began attacking Gaza after the October 7th Hamas attack. Protesters called for an immediate ceasefire and the release of hostages still held in Gaza. This is Alon Green of the Jewish-Arab Peace Coalition Standing Together.
We are here to say that the war and the way of wars has achieved nothing. The way of the right wing of Israel, of one war after the other, of only using military power to try and achieve some change in reality, have achieved only destruction and death and killing of innocent people. So we are here sounding a voice of a different path, a path of independence, of equality, of freedom for all, a path of Israeli-Palestinian peace agreement.
In other news from Israel, authorities have determined an Israeli woman who is thought to have been taken hostage on October 7th was actually killed during the Hamas attack. The 70-year-old Judith Weinstein Haggai was a mother of 4 and grandmother of 7. She held Canadian and U.S. citizenship. She lived in Kibbutz Nir Az with her husband, Gadi Haggai, whose death was confirmed last week. He was a dual U.S.-Israeli national. Meanwhile, on Thursday, Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu canceled a scheduled war cabinet meeting to discuss Israel's plan for Gaza after the war ends over disagreements with Finance Minister Bezalel Smotrich, who opposes proposals for the Palestinian Authority to help run Gaza. Here in the United States, in Maine, the state has joined Colorado in barring Donald Trump from the Republican primary ballot over his role in the January 6th insurrection. On Thursday, Maine Secretary of State Shenna Bellows issued a written decision saying the insurrection clause in the 14th Amendment makes the former president ineligible to run for public office again. In her ruling, Bellows wrote, quote, "I am mindful that no Secretary of State has ever deprived a presidential candidate of ballot access based on Section 3 of the 14th Amendment. I am also mindful, however, that no presidential candidate has ever before engaged in..."
I love that. I love the slight pettiness, right? That is perfect. Hold on. Shenna Bellows, huh? Hold on a second. Let's see how this works. Well, but I will say this much. You know, to be the downer here. We still have the Supreme Court to get through. I think they're gonna look at it. in January. I heard sometime in January or early February. They're not going to last. They're not going to go very long. Colorado has delayed its decision, right? I mean, they did that right at the start. Here is the deal, but they're not going to put it into effect until I think January 29th or something. I can't remember the exact date. But it's to give the Supreme Court time to make their decision. But I want to see something. Sheena Below's. Let's see. Okay. All right. She's white. But this right here, I'm also mindful, however, that no presidential candidate has ever before engaged in insurrection. That gave me like a melanated vibe to it. I was like, okay. But I love it. Like, oh yeah. Yeah, we've never done this. We've never charged any president. I get it. We've also never had a president that did this. One thing I would say though, and I don't mean this in any sort of defense of Trump. Y'all know better than that already. But what I will say is, Colorado, when everybody was out there talking about how, due process needs to happen, yada yada yada, right? It's like, no, dumbass, the due process happened in Colorado. What happened to states' rights? Or is states' rights only important when it's to keep slaves, right? Or when you want to take away reproductive rights from people. But for Maine, what are they basing that off of? Right? So Colorado has a lower court decision that found, according to Colorado courts, according to Colorado law, found Trump guilty of an insurrection, right? Of the insurrection. Okay, there you go. So they're using their state law, legal system to do something about it, right? Now, did Maine do that? I would say that if you are trying to say he did an insurrection just based off of like something, like if you're using the federal case and it hasn't gone through, I don't know. I don't think we're gonna see a sweeping Supreme Court decision. I think we're gonna see things like Colorado might be allowed to, but unless there's like a supporting case, like if there's a case in Maine that I don't know about, that went through, and they're just saying like, yeah, he did it without actually having any a due process, right? I don't see that one surviving.
Insurrection, unquote. Trump's campaign has vowed to appeal the ruling. A campaign spokesperson described Bellow's decision as, quote, partisan election interference efforts that were, quote, a hostile assault on American democracy, unquote. The U.S. Supreme Court will likely have the final say on Trump's ballot eligibility. Last week, Colorado's Supreme Court barred Trump from Colorado's primary ballot, but Michigan's...
Very good. Very good. Thank you. No, not on purpose.
Supreme Court has ruled he can stay on the Michigan ballot. At least 16 people have been killed in Ukraine after Russia launched a massive wave of missile and drone attacks targeting the capital, Kyiv, and other cities, including Lviv in the west, Odessa and Zaporizhia in the south, and Dnipro and Kharkiv in the east. The Ukrainian military said it has, quote, never seen so many locations targeted simultaneously, unquote. The attacks come days after Ukraine struck a Russian warship and occupied Crimea. Meanwhile, the New York Times is reporting that Russian President Vladimir Putin has been signaling for months through intermediaries that he's open to a ceasefire deal that would allow Russia to keep Ukrainian land it seized during the war. The U.S. Justice Department is...
I mean, that was called right there. Like, that's what it... Like, so worst case scenario was push all the way to Kyiv and take it, install their puppet government, et cetera, et cetera. But now we're talking about ever since the initial, December of what was it now? Shit. Time. 2023, 2022, 2021? What? No. Has it been that long? Oh my God. Wow. Damn, that's crazy. Anyways, yeah, so we're talking December, well, no, let me see. Russia invade Ukraine, yeah. February 2022. But so yeah. So we got they started lining up on the border in December of 2021. And then they pushed in February 2022. Damn, that's wild. Time flies. And hearing about, was it now 2 days? It's about to be 2024. And this has been going on that long. I mean, even Israel-Palestine. I mean, October 7th? How long ago was October 7th? You know what I mean? This shit's wild. This shit's wild. Anyways, what was I saying? I don't know.
Threatening to sue the state of
I lost my train of thought.
Texas if it begins enforcing a new law empowering police to arrest anyone they suspect of entering the United States without authorization. The law was signed last week by Texas Republican Governor Greg Abbott. Meanwhile, CBS is reporting Border Patrol this month has taken into custody more than 225,000 migrants who attempted to cross the southern border outside of an official crossing. That's the highest monthly total in the agency's history. Earlier this week, U.S. Secretary of
They're not, I'm telling you, they're not saying that by accident. The highest in the history of the agency. Depending on how November 2024 goes. Remember that. Remember that. Remember that when remember Biden pushing for the Israeli funds. Remember the deportation. Remember how he's decided to handle immigration. Before you get mad at any of the third-party voters, just remember.
State Antony Blinken met with Mexican President Andrés Manuel López Obrador in Mexico City as the Biden administration looks to further limit the number of asylum seekers arriving at the southern border.
I could say that it's been an evolution, Z. It's been an evolution for me. I will say that I'm still going to vote for Biden. Only because if I think a genocide is happening now, and I think he is assisting a genocide, nothing has happened nothing has happened to change my mind, because I never thought Biden was great or anything, right? So it's like he's doing what we knew Democrats do, like conservative moderates, right-leaning Democrats like Hillary Clinton, and all that shit. Like, we knew what was going to happen. As angry and disgusted and as much blood is on his hands, like you say, I still know that a Trump in power, a DeSantis in power, a Nikki Haley in power, this is ramped up. I would not even put it past for 1 second Trump winning, and suddenly you start hearing the media start ramping up about the Americans that are in Israel or the Americans that are still being held hostage. I'm calling it. If Trump wins, we will start seeing more focus on the hostages that have American citizenship. And the very next thing will be American boots on the ground. And it will be the United States and Israel And then maybe that'll be the now I'm kind of getting doomery here, right? I'm not trying to do like an Alex Jones or anything, but if anything is gonna push the region over the line, like in Iran saying "fuck it, let's go," it's gonna be something like American boots on the ground. I don't agree, to be honest. I don't think it would make much of a difference, and the difference that Biden losing would make is that the here, let me do my new little plugin. Boop. Hey, look at that. The difference that Biden losing would make is that the Democrats realize they can't fund the genocide and stay in power. So listen, I don't disagree. I don't disagree. Had please do. Had we had this exchange a year ago, I would be more adamantly like disagreeing with you. But I promise you, like, I think this is a disagreement in that it's like, okay, is one going to be worse than the other? Okay. But I feel like as time goes on, I still think Trump would be worse. But if Trump wins or a Republican wins, I'm telling you right now, zero anger at anybody who doesn't vote or votes third party. Zero. Not with what Biden has been doing in Israel. Not with what Biden's doing on the border. Zero anger. And if I am right, hopefully you're right, right? Because here's what I'll say. There's a best and a worst case scenario. There's a best and a worst case scenario. Oh, that's the wrong. A best and a worst case scenario here. Best case scenario on a Trump win. Best case scenario is you're right, and then the Briahna Joys are right, and the tactic behind nope, you're going to lose, and we're not going to vote for you until you get your shit together, and nothing changes. That's best case scenario. Yeah, streaming on YouTube just started. Today is the first day of LeftFace on YouTube. So welcome to the new one. I'm simulcasting, so it's gonna be Twitch and YouTube. As a matter of fact, so y'all don't think I'm talking to myself, let me make sure that gets put up. But so best case scenario is that everything works out according to plan. Okay. Worst case scenario is, and by the way, according to plan means when Biden loses, Trump gets into office, it's more of the same, right? Weapons go to Israel. States continue to attack trans rights. States like Texas get to do whatever the fuck they want with reproductive rights. People continue to get deported. Considering that Biden is hitting records all by himself. If everything stays as horrible as it is now, that's the best case scenario. But here's a question, right? And I hate to do Pascal's wager. Like, I really hate to do this. This is the Christian. This is the leftist version of what if you're wrong? What if you go to hell? But here's the difference, though. Here's the difference between this and Pascal's wager is we've seen what Republicans want to do, and what Republicans want to do is real. And so all jokes aside, like, how do you like? What I'm kind of asking rhetorically. I'm not asking you to defend it, and I'll watch that video here in a second. But if I'm right, and everybody who's like, I got it, I'm angry too. And then Trump comes into power and Project 2025 happens. Project 2025, he's quoted as saying, I don't want to be a dictator after day one. Project 2025 is horrifying. Right now, states are given carte blanche to attack trans people, trans kids, and reproductive rights. But there is a difference between being given carte blanche, like meaning, man, I wish I could do something. That's bad, right? As the federal government, the president of the United States does dick about it, right? There's a difference between that and let's go. Let's fucking go. Let's make executive orders. Let's make fucking trans people in the military's life hell again. Let's make trans kids' lives hell. Let's codify this bitch. You know, oh, you won't, I don't have the numbers to codify it. Fuck it. Executive orders, sue me. You know what I mean? I mean, like, boots on the ground in Israel. Like if things get worse and shit like Project 2025 gets put into play, this sounds like hyperbole, and maybe it is. Maybe I'm falling for the Democratic trick. But I really believe this could be it for like the modern American democracy, that we know. I like this because I feel like it's a good explanation as to why there's no difference in parties other than one saying they stand for certain things, only to get the other half of the population on their side, but is truly just pushing Western imperialism and capitalism the same way the right is. Okay, I'm down. I'll watch her out this. Let's finish this. It's almost done.
And one of Argentina's most powerful labor unions has called for a national strike next month to protest the shock therapy economic policies of Argentina's new president, Javier Milei. The General Confederation of Labor called for the strike to take place on January 24th.
On January 24th, we are going to hold a strike and will mobilize to Congress to support those Congress members who agree that this cannot happen in Argentina. Because if they give all of the public power to a president for 2 years and he can renew it for another 2 years, we'll be facing a situation where a president is going to have, during his entire mandate, the sum of public power, and the institutions will not be respected, and nothing will be respected.
And those are some of the headlines. This is...
Yeah, the Argentina. You know what though? That's how you handle it. That's how you take power back. Something that Latin Americans and the French do really well is they do more than march. And I envy it. I'm jealous of it. They do more than march. Marching is good. Yeah, the media narrative behind how marching for free Palestine isn't doing anything. The way social media is like, oh, so you're supporting terrorism and good luck getting people on your side for stopping the freeway and blah blah blah. Yeah, it is working. The entire world is protesting. The entire world is up in arms, and world leader after world leader is falling in line because that is what the people want them to do, and unfortunately, it's not working for the United States. Probably because they don't give a fuck. Let's see, what's this? 16 minutes. Okay, we'll watch. We'll watch a little bit. I'm not promising watching the whole thing, but I'm gonna be honest with you. I am. Let me tell you real quick. Hey, you. Let me tell you real quick. Let me give you a 30-second version of who I am. I'm the kind of individual that I don't find labels like nicknames. You know how like you're not supposed to give yourself a nickname. Like they call me fucking Hollywood, sexy Hollywood. This is what my friends call me, and then you find out that they gave him that nickname. Labels to me aren't like that. I am a socialist, and by socialist I mean that I am against capitalism. Like I find capitalism to be abhorrent. I don't even like the capitalism that a system that requires a vanguard. I think we should be working towards that. So when we talk about American imperialism, when we talk about democracy, pushing capitalism and imperialism, that is a given. That is a fact. That is something that I do not ever debate. That is facts. But I am a democratic socialist. And I'm not a democratic socialist because I believe in the system. I'm not a democratic socialist because I think communism is bad or anything like that, right? I don't think communism, I don't think libertarian anarchism, any of that. I don't think it's stupid. I don't think it's bad. I don't think any of that. What I do think is, as somebody who has been in a war zone, as somebody who has, I've never committed any crimes. What I've seen in other countries, I wouldn't ever in a fucking million years want to see that here. So there are certain ideologies. This is how I decide whether or not, like, what kind of ideology I am going to espouse, right? I took a test and got nice. That's what's up. Who knows? If I answered, well, here, I want to go off on a tangent. Whenever I decide like what I am, what I want to do, like what my label is, what my ideology is, what direction, do I take my minute, imperceptibly small amount of power, which is my vote, which is my voice, and what direction do I want to try to pull us in? It's rarely. I'm gonna do like a shoot for the stars kind of thing, but I'm thinking along the way. Do I think we're overseas? I'm a conservative combat veteran. Okay, all right. Well, welcome, first time chatter. I am a socialist combat veteran, so welcome. Maybe we'll pull you left, but the idea of where I want to go is. It includes what because all we have is our imagination, right? It includes what the worst and the best of a situation I could think of, right? And I think a lot of this comes from the framework of, and this might help my rambling because I know I'm not being very coherent right now. It comes through the framework of my Christian upbringing. So I'm an atheist, but I grew up very Christian, and as a Christian, you're taught to attempt to be Christ-like, and you're always taught you can never get there. You're never gonna get there, but you should be living your life trying to, and then repenting when you fall, because that's the best you can get, right? And so while I left that behind, I am definitely full faith, full as I'm not agnostic. Not I think there might be something, like there's no reason to believe in any of that, in my opinion. But that framework still exists. It's still a part of my developmental, going through the developmental stages of life and all that, right? And so it's how I understand my current ideology. I don't think that I'm gonna be dead honest with you, and maybe this is why this is a long way to say why me and Hakeem are different ideologically. Okay, by the way, I'm just gonna I'm just gonna skip to the end. We're gonna get to the end. You'll be like, what's this whole thing about? It's about Hakeem and the fact that I understand why some people might call him a tanky. I don't know what that word means. I find it to be kind of useless now. But I'm just kind of telling you the difference between what kind of leftist I am versus what you can expect from somebody like Hakeem. When I think of like social libertarian, right? When I think of anarchist, I imagine a world, right? When I stop and I think about if we could teleport to communism without the vanguard, right? We're not talking about Stalinism, right? We're talking about like actual communism. We're talking about social libertarianism, right? I think that would be fucking awesome. Fucking amazing. That would, no borders, no class, no money. Beautiful. So then you might say, okay, well, you were just talking about going to become Christ-like. That's impossible. Like, you can still push for that, even if you don't think we can get there. Well, here's the problem. It's not now when we start talking about that, I cannot get it in my head, and this is what's important, right? There's a lot of conversations that I've had on my move from the conservative to the leftist I am today, where it wasn't just because I want to be better and this is what all the the right people say, the right stuff, and I'm gonna be part of the cool group. Nope, I had to process that shit, and what I cannot process is imagining a world with 9 billion people in it. You know what I mean? Not like right? Aren't we at like 9 billion? Whatever, however many billions of people we're at. How many nations on the planet? There are 195 recognized countries on this planet, and few, if any, come close to maybe some semblance of socialism, but we're counting on one hand. And even those countries, we're talking about a semblance of socialism, which is awesome, by the way. There should be more, and I hope those people who have like a semblance of socialism go further, right? So this is not. I'm not doing the we've never seen it work thing. That's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is that on one hand we have a semblance, and the rest of the fucking world is a cesspool of capitalist nations with fucking tanks and guns and jets and a handful of them with nukes. And I'm going to put it very plainly. I do not want to live in a world where my country doesn't have the ability to stop the next Nazi Germany. That is like literally it. Because that is. And I don't even mean, by the way, I'm not even talking about like for the world. Although, if you're a communist, you should care about the entire world, because now we're one race thing where we're not nationalists. I do like that part. That is a part for me. This whole like, why aren't we doing this for this country when we have veterans dying here? I'm like, shut the fuck up. They're human beings too, and I'm glad we're helping other people. It's hard to have a conversation like this when it's limited to straight. Nah, you're right. If you wanted to have a discussion on Discord, you're more than welcome, but I know that not everybody's comfortable doing that. Let's watch a little bit of this. If you want to, let me know. But if not, let's watch this Hakeem, and we'll do a little bit before. The next thing after this Hakeem thing, we're going to watch an episode of Miss Me Yet? What's wrong with being proud of your heritage and nation? I don't think there's anything wrong with being proud of your heritage. Being proud of your nation, well, it depends on what part of your nation you're proud of. I mean, I guess if your country has done a lot of good things, then be proud of those good things, sure. But that's not what being a nationalist is. When you're a nationalist, when you are so borderline isolationist, where no one is worth shit unless they are from from inside the borders that you call home. That's a fucking weird. It's something that I've grown to learn is fucking weird and is the source of so much bullshit in the world. You know what I mean? And that's why I will never, whether I think we can get there or not, I will never look poorly on like communism or socialism or anything. I was actually going to ask if you'd be down to stream collab discussing. I think we got some interesting conversations because we're going a lot, but I can see there are a lot of differences. I feel like, oh, you stream? I didn't know you streamed. Yes. Yeah, I definitely would be down for that. Let me do this. If you're not already in the Discord, you could jump in there and then DM me, and I'm definitely down. Let's check out this Hakeem thing. By the way, I mostly like Hakeem. I've listened to a lot of his stuff. I was like, I really like his takes on. I love his takes on Cuba. That link isn't working. No. Oh wait, no. Click. It takes me there. You know, you're not the first person to say that though. About links in general. It clicks for me. Is the exclamation point a part of the link? Oh, look at that. You know what I think I need to do? I need to put a space after it. Hold on a second. Let me do this. Discord, yada, 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 channels. I'm going to just do this real quick. Make it easy. I think I got to change the command and then make sure there's no punctuation right after. But for now, let me just go in the Discord and grab it manually. Boom. There you go. That should work.
Hey, you. I have a question for you. America does stand for freedom, right? I mean, we've been told that since elementary school. The United States fights for democracy and human rights, right? After all, the President of the United States is the leader of the free world, as opposed to the rest, whom lead nations that wallow in corruption and social inequality, where minorities are oppressed and the rich control politicians, getting away with any crime they commit, right? Well, no. The United States definitely does not stand for democracy, freedom, or human rights, in so much as those terms actually mean something and not being just, well, buzzwords. The US stands solely for the interests of its ruling class, and that ain't us, my friend. How, you may ask? Well, it's simple. Now, before I get into it, if you're American, keep in mind that this isn't a condemnation of you or your people. After all, the American people have absolutely no say in what actually happens. Don't believe me? Well, then did they ask you for permission before bailing out the banks in 2008? How about the military budget? Did your dad get a call to give his opinion? Maybe those tax cuts for the rich. I'm sure your aunt in Iowa had a big say in that. This is a condemnation of the American government and its ruling class, not Americans. Anyway.
So that is a I'm okay with that. I'm not going to nitpick, but I will say that's going to be literally any nation, right? It would be impossible to have hundreds of millions of people have a 1-for-1 vote on every single decision like that. But nonetheless, I agree with him 100%. 100%. I was literally talking about this today when it was in the face of, it was on Twitch. It was in the face of looking at the death toll in Gaza, right? And how Americans, especially those who sympathize with Zionists, and especially the Jewish supremacists amongst them, is the idea, right? The idea that like what do you have? What's the moderate position? I mean, yeah, like what's happening to Gaza is bad, but like, are you just gonna ignore October 7th? Right? Like, are you just like, yeah, okay, that was bad, but I mean, over 1,000 babies died, right? That's how could you listen? Here's what's fucking hilarious. Cottonmouth NF and everyone else. If somebody forced these people into an area about the size of New Orleans, put a wall around them, told them, hey, you're free now because we moved the military out, and no, you don't have control of your own commerce. No, you don't have control of your own airspace. No, you can't, buy fishing boats and fish off the shore. Like you can't do any of that stuff, but you're free now. You have self. Let me tell you something. Americans would do 7 fucking million October 7ths. Americans would do a fucking an ungodly number of October 7ths. Do you want to know why? Because they did it. We've done it. We've done it. We sat there and we got attacked on 9/11. And we waged a global war on terrorism on people that had nothing to do with 9/11 and killed about 1 million civilians in that war. Now, let me put it fairly. About 1 million civilians died in that war, right? Now, U.S. friendly forces, Taliban, AQI, enemy bombings, suicide bombings, friendly bombings. But the fact of the matter is, we went to war, and those people would not have died. Those people died as a direct result of our war. Now, what I mean to say by that is, when you tell an American, hey, 1 million civilians have died as a result of this war, people like Cottonmouth NF are like, meh, whatever. You know what I mean? Like that'll teach you. Oh yeah, but none of those people had anything to do with 9/11. Yeah, whatever. They all Allahu Akbar my ass. You know what I mean? And it's like, okay, then there you go. That's literally like watching Cottonmouth right now is proving my point. It's proving my point. You don't give a fuck about like what's happening over there. You would do the same thing Gaza did, that Hamas did. You would do it with a smile on your face. You would kill 100 times more babies and 100 times more children if somebody you perceived as an occupying force pushed you into Gaza and didn't let you out and starved you out. 20,000 Palestinian dead would not have happened without October 7th and Hamas. I mean, I guess 1,200 Jewish people dead wouldn't have happened without X number of years of oppression, right? I mean, I guess everything could just be minimized and disregarded as a result of some other fucking decision, right? Hamas is the father of the. Well, now you're just fucking stupid. Now you're just a fucking dumb fuck. This what's been happening in Israel and Palestine has been around much longer, has been going on for much longer than Hamas. Hamas, what was that? Hamas. You fucking idiot. What's up, Blur Without Fear? Welcome. As a conservative Christian, I hope Zionists get what they deserve. Interesting. That's a very interesting question. I'd love to talk to you sometime. Not of a Palestinian disaster, bro. Oh, sorry. The wrong person got my sassy voice. My bad.
Abroad, the United States flexes its democratic muscle by illegally occupying sovereign nations for control of oil fields, or poppy supply, or natural gas, or trade routes, or... yeah, the list goes on. I mean, is it any coincidence that the CIA-sponsored coup in Bolivia just a little while back came right after Bolivia refused to allow foreign companies to exploit their lithium reserves? Oh,
by the way, Blurred, this social ninja stream thingy thing, dope and easy as fuck. It's pretty dope.
Excuse me, all that was actually intended to bring democracy to those places. That explains why Iraq, Afghanistan, Libya, etc. are such thriving democracies after American involvement, right? It's no surprise that one of the first laws that the American forces undemocratically passed in occupied Iraq was the privatization of all Iraqi oil fields. It's no surprise that the heroin output from Afghanistan magically skyrocketed.
IDF is taking care of business and superiority of the military is obvious. Well, yeah, it is obvious. Isn't that wild how a militarily superior force could just genocide tens of thousands of people without even breaking a sweat? That's pretty fucking crazy. I'm glad you're proud of that. It says a lot about you.
After the American occupation. These are all just convenient coincidences, right? The US didn't enter Iraq, Afghanistan, or anywhere else for freedom, democracy, or any other platitude. If they really wanted to help these countries, they would have lifted the sanctions they forcibly placed on these countries in the first place, as well as never imposed them. It was a logical process dictated by the ruling class of the United States, aimed at conquering untapped markets, taking control of valuable natural resources, and maintaining important geostrategic military outposts for their own benefit. Of course, to the detriment of everyone else in and outside.
All right, he's bad. He's gone. So, just in case, I want to, just in case we have some newer eyeballs in here. You might be wondering why I let Cottonmouth talk as long as he did. I actually don't care. I don't mind people like conservatives or being disagreed with or anything like that. Blur Without Fear would tell you that my patience and the amount of time I will go back and forth with somebody could border on unhealthy. And those people still never got banned. If you want to hate watch me, you're gonna be hate watching me in front of my propaganda, and I'm going to I'm gonna get you. I'm gonna get you. If you want to be here and troll and spam bullshit, if you want to be an anti-Semite, if you want to be an Islamophobe, if you want to be a racist, a bigot, you're gonna get the ban. You're gonna get it. So if you want to be conservative, if you want to be Zionist. You want to have a regular ass conversation like a human being, you're more than welcome to. You're not going to be banned for that.
Inside these countries being occupied. The few that benefited were either defense contractors, Halliburton, Lockheed Martin, all the other rotten entities that push pro-war American interventionist propaganda from China to Latin America, private security firms like Blackwater, oil and energy giants that got preferential contracts to Iraqi oil, reconstruction firms like Bechtel and Fluor that received billions in contracts for quote-unquote rebuilding Iraq, and of course all the politicians and lobbyists directly tied to the capital of all the above examples that either benefited directly or indirectly from the Iraq War. But don't worry, America's staunch defense of democracy and freedom doesn't just stop at coups.
Have we ever tried to meddle in other countries' elections?
Oh, probably, but it was for the good of the system in order to avoid the communists from taking over. For example, in Europe.
Thanks a lot, Lizard. I almost feel bad. I think it was a good conversation anyway, but I almost feel bad for setting up that, as much as I did for Hakeem. I should have known just by the title. I promise you, I'm not going to disagree with anything in this video. Unless he says something like, don't vote or something, but but maybe that's just the lib in me. I don't know. He is absolutely right. I never finished my sentence from before. He's right. We were talking about the Revolutionary War, the War of Independence, 1776. You know what I mean? Like, what have we all been taught about that? Like, it's freedom. It's from the breaking from King George and the tyrant, and no taxation without representation, and Paul Revere's ride, and man, how fucking awesome. No. These were rich, land-owning white men who were the only people who were allowed to vote, who exploited people, brought their slaves. The poor had no rights, no ability to vote. The enslaved, obviously not. And these people, all they did was commit genocide. The fight for independence was so that they didn't have to pay their taxes to King George. What the fuck does that have to do with the 99% of the broke, poor-ass people who escaped religious persecution or famine that came over? Nothing. So yeah, I would say that from the jump, the United States has not done dick that wasn't to support the ruling class.
In 47, 48, 49, the Greeks and the Italians.
And sometimes that ends up benefiting us too. Yeah, okay. You should do research on the people who actually owned slaves. It was eye-opening. That's an interesting way to start the sentence. What do you think I would find out that I don't already know?
We don't do that now, though. We don't mess around other people's elections.
Only for a very good cause.
Do a Vine video on us, former CIA director.
Only for a very good cause in the interest of democracy.
All right, thanks for being here.
At home, American media complains of Russian interference in their elections and everything else, conveniently forgetting that the US rigged the 1996 Russian elections, and possibly others. Hold on, what other elections has the US rigged? Oh, not many, just Albania, Argentina, Bolivia, Brazil, Bulgaria, Cambodia, Chile, Costa Rica, the Dominican Republic, Greece, Grenada, Guatemala, Guyana, Haiti, Iceland, Indonesia, Iran is not real, Italy, Japan, and dozens more. When simple election meddling isn't enough, the United States has militarily overthrown democratically elected...
I'm not going to say because it comes off messed up. No. I mean, don't say the N-word and shit. I don't know if you're going to attack anybody, but listen, I'm being serious. That wasn't a test to get people to like out themselves. If you, I mean, I can't promise the chat will be nice. Like, I'm not going to make anybody be nice, but I won't ban you. If you, is not real. I did. You know, it's funny. I almost rewound it. I was like, wait, what did he say? I think he said, I can't remember what he said, but I'm pretty sure it was a smart ass comment. But Lot Lizard, let me guess. Can we guess? I'm going to guess. Are you going to tell me that actually very few people own slaves and it was only the wealthy who owned slaves? Is that somewhere? Is that around what you were going to say? Oh, well, what is it? What is Leonardo DiCaprio say? You had my curiosity, but now you have my attention, or something like that. I was gonna try to find it. No. Just tell. I promise you're not gonna get banned. Are you gonna tell me they were treated well? Are you gonna tell me that the enslaved actually, a lot of them liked being slaves? Are you gonna tell me that they learned something? I'm like super curious. Like I feel you think I'm setting you up, but I promise you I'm not. I'm actually just curious. This is why I stream. Majority of slave owners were actually Jewish. Wow. Wow. God. You should not have said anything. You should have stuck to your guns. Holy shit. fuck? I'm not laughing. Talk about not fucking seeing that coming. Why did you let me make you say something? Wow. I don't even want you to elaborate. Just don't elaborate. Just don't even send me links. I'll ban you. Listen, if you drop a link, I'm gonna ban you. But I'm keeping my word. I made you say it. Hang out, enjoy the video. I'm gonna pretend like you didn't say that.
Two governments like Arbenz' government in Guatemala, Allende's government in Chile, Mossadegh's government in Iran, Bishop's government in Grenada, and unsurprisingly dozens more. Now, why would a government that constantly propagandizes over how democracy-loving it is be the leader in illegal interference in foreign elections, and even outright overthrow? Their democracy must be so good that it has to be pushed by force of guns, apparently. Kissinger even admitted as such when he said, "I don't see why we need to stand by and watch a country go communist due to the irresponsibility of its people. These issues are much too important for the Chilean voters to be left."
Here's what I'll tell you. Here's what I'll tell you, Lot Lizard. I'm 43 years old. This beard is not early graying. I'm graying on time. I am very familiar with many anti-Semitic tropes. I'm gonna give you the best, most generous response to I'm not an anti-Semite, but right. What's the word when you're being charitable? I'm gonna give you the most charitable response you will ever get to what you just said. Maybe you're not an anti-Semite. I don't know you from Adam, and maybe you're not. But I promise you that whatever you've read that made you go, holy shit, that's wild. Like, oh my God, I wonder if more people, like whatever you read that made you like think that was some Nazi ass shit. That's all I'm going to say. You know what I'm saying? I'll give you an example. This is what I mean by charitable. I've had friends asking me some shit like, bro, I'm not racist, but did you see the FBI crime report? And it's like, you're going to time out. I'm going to believe you that you're not racist, but I need you to know whatever talking points you're about to spit out about that report, I promise you come from racists. You know what I mean? And so that's what I mean. Rest in not peace, since he's on the screen, you will not be missed. Yeah, fuck him. Yeah. I don't see why we need to stand by and watch a country go communist due to the irresponsibility of its people. These issues are much too important for the Chilean voters to be left to decide for themselves.
To decide for themselves. Thinking aloud, for a country that loves democracy, there sure is very little democracy at home if you think about it. Hear me out. How democratic is the US really? There is no economic democracy whatsoever, with workers in the US having virtually no say in their workplaces, where they spend a third of their life. Honestly, how is it that the people that make the products, provide the services, carry out whatever task that is needed?
I'm trying to pay attention to this video. I'm still blown away. Just by like how fucking far off that I was. Like I bet I already know what I'm 43 years old. Blah blah blah. It was like literally bomb drop. Like, oh my God.
Have absolutely zero control over how anything is done. Putting that aside, in many local elections, there's only effectively or literally one choice on the ballot, and it's practically the same case even during presidential elections. Yes, the ones where every 4 years you have to choose between the capitalist party or the other capitalist party. Some people claim there's harm reduction by voting for this representative American capital on one side over the other representative American capital on the other. This harm reduction hasn't taken place, though. Police defunding hasn't made much meaningful progress. There are still children in cages at the border, restrictions on civil and other liberties. No matter who comes in, nothing seems to fundamentally change for you. Striking that all the things polling proves Americans want, as in education, healthcare, debt forgiveness, etc., simply doesn't happen and barely gets mentioned. Meanwhile, being wealthy drastically exaggerates your ability to influence policy to a point of essentially determining it.
So So here's what I'll say. Here's what I'll say. This is actually my problem with video essayists like this. There's a lot of work that goes into it. I've said it time and time again. There's way more work that goes into something like this than it does to throw a live stream together. However, when you have a I hate this word is overused. It's not about a narrative. I don't think that he's trying to lie to people. I don't think he's being deceptive. But when you're going to list, here's all the things that remain bad, and then stop there, and then say, and that's why it doesn't matter which one they are. Remember what I said earlier, like, fuck Biden, and if he loses, it's his fault. I promise you, I'm not going to be mad at people who didn't vote. Fuck Biden on immigration. Fuck Biden on Israel. Fuck Biden on fighting for reproductive rights, for doing a goddamn fucking thing about what the states are doing, attacking reproductive rights and trans people. Like, fuck them. But I'm gonna Blurred, if you're not busy, can you do me a favor? Can you DM me the link when we went in on Briahna Joy? We're not gonna watch the whole video, but I want to go over what's that dude's name? Like, he has a rundown where he's like, it was really good. And they're actually friends with Briahna Joy. Like, they're the same ideologically. And he was right. He was right. There are plenty of leftists who are like, I am nauseated. I want to puke when I think about voting for Biden. But I still don't even, I'm less convinced now. I think less strongly about it, given what's happening on the border and in Israel. But I'm still not convinced it's absolutely nothing. Now that right there, there are so many candidates. You are not lying. You are absolutely not lying. That is the truth. And that is where I support, being involved in primaries. That is where I support being in primaries. It's kind of weird because it's weird because the people who say voting doesn't matter because they're both capitalists, but they won't get involved with primaries. Like find back DSA socialist candidates, get them in office, support them. And then when presidential primaries come up, join their campaign, volunteer for them. You know what I mean? Like all that stuff. But after the primaries are done and a third party has no chance of winning, then I have to do it. We'll put a pin in it. We'll finish off this video, and then we're just gonna listen to what's his name? Fucking hold on a second. Kyle Kalinske. Jesus, I could not remember his name for shit. Yeah, that's it. Yep. But he has a good little rundown that we'll watch just a clip of it. But let's finish this video.
The American public is so alienated by the non-choice they've provided that voter turnout has hovered around 50% for the past 100 years. True. Even so-called highly contested elections, turnout barely touches the low 60%. Of course, it's completely unsurprising that they would be alienated since the owning class essentially gets to pick the people you vote for, ensuring that basically whoever wins, they win too. On that point, the supremely democratic US seems to be really fond of campaign donations and lobbying. Every person that seems to run for president just so happens to be a multimillionaire. All the branches of government are packed full of super wealthy people, while the majority of the population barely breaks $50,000 a household. Funny how that works. For any Europeans feeling smug right now, your situation isn't much better, as capital still determines politics, just in more insidious ways. Back to the video in just a second. Let's hear from today's sponsor, Atlas VPN. For a lot of research that I do for my videos, I end up hitting pages that aren't available in my location. That's frustrating, as you can imagine. Geo-restriction really does suck, but not with Atlas VPN, for those unaware. Video. And what about this freedom? You know what freedom is. After all, you've been told your whole life that your country is full of it. Why is it then that this great land of freedom has the highest prison population on Earth? Not only does the US have the largest prison population, but it also has the highest per 100,000 inhabitants. To put that into perspective, China, with a population of 1.4 billion people, has around 1.5 million prisoners. The US, with a population of 327 million, has a prison population of 2.2 million people. So with a fourth of the population of China, the great free United States has nearly 1 million more prisoners. Really an outstanding achievement. That's not even counting all those kids in concentration camps. Oh, yeah, you probably forgot about the concentration camps. Now, I maybe am being a little unfair to the US, but you know what else is unfair? Something that isn't very freedom-like. The outrageous sentences minorities, mostly African-American, get in the US on trumped-up charges in order to fill up private prisons that threaten to close down and stop funding certain political groups if they don't start arresting and sentencing more people to prison. To think, in most places, closing a prison is a good thing, but not in the good old US of A, the land of the free. On that point, African Americans are way more likely to be sentenced to prison for minuscule amounts of weed, despite similar smoking rates between whites and blacks. They're more likely to be wrongfully condemned for murder. They're more frequently sentenced and for longer durations than whites for the same crime.
Hey, real quick, if y'all could just do me a solid. I am now dual streaming onto YouTube. I can't really. I suppose I'm not really supposed to even be doing the dual chat here, but considering I'm a tiny guy, a little guy, I highly doubt anybody's gonna give a shit over on the Twitch side. But I don't want to risk it by putting the link up on the screen. So what would be really dope of y'all, if you're here chilling in the Twitch chat, and if you haven't done so already, if you could just follow that link. I am also live on YouTube. This is the first day LeftFace TV has been on YouTube live. Usually I just put up segments. But if you wouldn't mind going in there, clicking a like, muting it, coming on back. Because I don't have any emotes over there, and there's no alerts or shit over there. So, but I would really love if you guys would just kind of like have a window off to the side or something. I would like to see get that YouTube going. That'd be dope. I would appreciate it.
Their communities are over-policed but have less access to emergency services such as ambulances.
We are watching a video on Hakeem. Oh man, you missed a good one. You're gonna have to go back to the VOD. Whatever time I'm at right now. I'll say what is this? Where am I at? I'm at 144. Damn, I should have clicked it. Then you know what? Let me and nobody clipped that either. Oh, I need to have a button on here. Let me see something. There's an add stream marker. Nope. Clip that. Nope. How do I do like a marker? I need like a marker button on the stream deck to make sure that it gives like a little thingy thing. But yeah, I would say around a minute and a half. That shit was wild. just look for Lot Lizard's chat.
They are more socially monitored and are 3 times more likely to be murdered by police despite minding their own business. They receive worse treatment in society, worse treatment in healthcare, receive fewer opportunities in the job market. The list goes on in a country that is a shining beacon of freedom. Of course, this freedom does have its price, though. In this particular case, it's the illegal occupation and theft of land that doesn't belong to them, and the complete genocide of the indigenous Native American population. All this, and now America, a land of immigrants as it portrays itself, wants to close its borders to immigrants, usually to people brutalized by American government policies in their own countries. The irony would be funny if it wasn't so sad, or transparent, better yet. It's not Norwegians hoping to immigrate. Either way, indigenous genocide doesn't cover the tab. It must be followed by 3 centuries of African slavery that results in the deaths of further untold tens of millions. A slave had 3, 5, or 10 jobs, but the second the black man is freed, all of a sudden there are no jobs. Are these the fabled human rights the United States defends? On that topic, though, the United States really does defend rights. The rights of fascists to kill, and the right...
Hey, so here's a fun fact. Here's a little fun fact. You know how I always tell y'all, like, you know, when I do this channel, it comes with a certain background whenever I talk about coming from the right to the left, right? So I was in the military for 23 years. I have seen combat. I am a combat veteran. I am a disabled veteran. And not for anything great or good. I can't say I've never killed any civilians, I promise. But for the first 9 years of I talk about my military law enforcement experience. And
the States defends. On that topic.
That is literally what I did right there. That's the beret I wore. This is the uniform I wore. This is a really old picture because they don't wear this uniform anymore. They wear the brown one. But this dude is security forces. He is an E4 in the Air Force, and he guards planes and checks IDs at the gate. That's what I did for 9 years before becoming a JTAC.
Though the United States really does defend rights. The rights of fascists to kill and the rights of the capitalist class to exploit, that is. The U.S.
Oh, wow. Okay. All right. 0311, is that infantry? What's your guys' take on Second Amendment? Because I've met socialists that own more guns than me, and then I know some that refuse to even look at one. I'm pro-gun, and I have guns. I have a few guns.
Enthusiastically supported the dictatorship of Pinochet in Chile that arose after legally.
But I'm also a fan of, I like laws that limit, to make it harder to get guns. Washington State in 2020, I think it was, passed a law during that election season that made it to where you had to lock up your weapon. It was mandatory. In order to get a weapon, you had a class that you had to go through. Respawn from down under. Hello. I'm live on YouTube right now. Madeline Swopes. Hey, thank you. Appreciate that. That must be you, Z. Is that you? It's like, I don't know that name. That must be Z. So Washington said you have to get a class you have to go through, and then you have to have your weapon stored in a case, and then you ask, well, how would they know if you have one or not? Well, they don't. They can't. They don't know. But get this shit. If your kid kills himself or somebody else, you will be held legally liable because they had access to your gun. If you are the victim of a home invasion and your weapons are stolen and used in a crime, you are held liable. You can be held criminally liable because your guns weren't secured. Now, if you can prove your guns were secured and they broke into your safe, I'm sure there's a process, right? But shit like that, I am a fan of. So yeah, there you go. There's my Second Amendment take.
Overthrowing the democratically elected Salvador Allende. Let's not forget the Guatemalan dictatorships, all in order to defend the United Fruit Company, which many American politicians and the head of the CIA had direct stakes in. I mean, that is what defending human rights is, right? This is all with forgetting the Somoza dynasty in Nicaragua, the Argentinian dirty wars, the Banza dictatorship in Bolivia, Stroessner's 35-year dictatorship in Paraguay, and so much.
Yeah, that's not true. The more guns you have in an area, there's a lot of studies that have gone into this. We're really just talking about pure data. The more guns that are in an area, the more accidental deaths there are. Easier access to completed suicides, and then alcohol, anger, shit like that. It's not good when a lot of people have unfettered access to guns. It actually, the numbers don't say that people get safer. You don't get safer. But I'm still keeping my guns. I don't trust you with your guns. I trust me with my guns.
More. This staunch defender of democracy and human rights militarily supports 73% of all the world's dictatorships. If you consider the historic examples of other dictatorships they've supported, the number inflates ever higher. Now again, why would the US ever do such a thing? Go and open up your old high school textbook and take a look. All this info is conveniently missing, if not touched on in only the minutest ways, with a heavy dash of whitewashing and cover-up. All of this freedom, but for whom exactly? Take a look at this. Images of horrific state repression. Is this North Korea? Perhaps China or Russia? No, this is good old Uncle Sam, keeping the peace. Oh yeah, those are police units. Well, militarized police, that is. Freedom has to be enforced somehow. Don't forget, these same loyal, well, to the ruling class at least, and honorable police officers also run black sites all around the world, where neither American law nor international law applies. Hell, they even exist in the US. Maybe you walked right past one, never the wiser. Truly a mark of a free nation, respecting the rights for your teeth to be on the floor. Meanwhile, embezzling billions gets you a slap on the wrist and a laughable amount of community service.
So I will say, Blurred, you have to make sure the pop-out chat and everything is open, because I guess I accidentally must have like closed it or something, and I noticed that I saw Z's message pop up, and then your message, your booyah, came out, and I didn't notice it on the screen. So then I noticed, like, oh, the little pop-out thing's gone, and I must have closed it by accident. So if that thing's closed, your consolidated little window won't work. But anyways.
If even that. Oh, but they get fined, so it must make it alright, right? Well, it would, but a fine is nothing more than legal for rich people. You know, in certain other countries, wealthy people that break the law get a slightly fairer sentence, in my opinion. What about our boys in green? Yes, those boys. Look at them, protecting our freedoms. How our freedoms got all the way to Vietnam and Iraq, I have no idea, but it happened. Maybe it wasn't our freedoms, but the freedoms of the same ruling class to not only continue oppressing the American people, but also to dabble in oppressing some brown people too. That is a favorite pastime of theirs. Rapists, torturers, and murders of civilians, and all for what? Some education and healthcare, which isn't even—
Oh, Ree, I just noticed that. Oh, I'm glad you're here. I'm glad you're here. You know what you need to do, Ree? I need you to know when you can do this. Not tonight, because I have a movie to watch with Maneater, but any other night. Any other night, I want you to know, and then being for real, DM me and say, get on Dead Island, and I will be there. Just call my name. What is it? I'll be there. That one. That's the one. That's for you.
guaranteed? Yeah, that's supposed to come packaged with, at least in any civilized society. If 1935 Russia could provide healthcare and education to its people, the modern-day United States definitely can, it just doesn't want to. That would reduce military recruitment gains, which would mean less soldiers and personnel, which would mean less foreign military intervention, which would affect profits.
I know, I can sing. You don't gotta say nothing, Z. I get it.
No, let's keep killing American teenagers and brown children. It's good for Lockheed Martin. I don't want to repeat myself, but it's sometimes necessary. Here's some food for thought.
Yeah, I gotta be careful, because sometimes when I start singing, I get like a copyright hit because it can't tell that it's not the actual song. I gotta go through this whole thing, and it's like, sucks.
The United States is the richest country on Earth, and arguably in all of history. Yet, stagnant real wages despite skyrocketing productivity. Most Americans can't afford a $500 emergency. People are drowning in student and other debt. There is no place in the US where minimum wage workers can afford rent, and nearly half of Americans don't earn enough to afford even a one-bedroom rental. Inflation is destroying savings and making any likelihood of ever owning something an actual fantasy. Infrastructure is crumbling, widening income inequality, climate catastrophe, American government's—
Okay, we're gonna go ahead and stop it there. We're not to sound dismissive, I do get the point. Right now this YouTube video is linked. It's really good. You know, if you were distracted, Lot Lizard, you probably should just, put it on a bookmark and just go through it. Sorry, it's your fault. You told me you were a conservative, so now you get targeted. Let's see here. There is this link right here because it's for Z. Copy link. Go over here. And we're just gonna watch this real quick. Kyle Kulinski. Kyle Kulinski is a leftist. He's a solid. I wouldn't say I watch him religiously. So if he's ever had some bad takes, I don't know. I haven't seen him yet. I don't know if I watch anybody religiously. I probably watch the Majority Report the most these days. But I've been trying to read more news articles than anything else. But this is a while back. This is what he has titled "Spicy Debate with Briahna Joy Gray." This was about 3 months ago. We watched this on stream, and I'll be honest with you, he does a really, really good job here. I don't know what he would actually say today. I'll put it this way. This was 3 months ago. So 3 months ago, I mean, we did have a lot of shitty fucking immigration shit. But you know what we didn't have 3 months ago? we didn't have how little fucks the Biden administration gives about what most of the world thinks about our participation in Israel. So we're gonna click around here. He has plenty of bad takes. Okay, I believe you. I don't. So I know how that probably sounds, like I haven't heard them yet, but I really do not listen to him a lot. So maybe he does have bad takes, but he has good ones right now. Let's see.
And coerced people to the polls by saying he was going to cancel at least $10,000 of everybody's student loan debt.
When I look at the fact that, listen, investment in the Clinton-Obama era.
We're not going to watch the whole thing. I already watched it before on stream, but I am going to just bounce around. So bear with me. We're going to find it. We're gonna get into it.
Do you agree that ranked choice voting needs to come first? That's the important question. Do you agree that if we get ranked choice voting, then yes, overnight third parties become more viable.
I think that Cornel
but until
West.
we get
Here, I'm trying to find the part where he's like looking down at his. Oh, here we go. It's probably right here. Just press stop. What are you doing? What's going on here? What just happened?
He, like I said, pulled out of Afghanistan. The Supreme Court overturned the EPA's ability to regulate greenhouse gas emissions, and the Democrats slipped into the IRA a provision that redefines carbon as a pollutant, which then allows the EPA to start protecting a 1% chance or a 0.1% chance of Cornel West winning unless or until we get ranked choice voting. So I have to be honest, I feel like it's self-disenfranchisement to really like put all your effort into third parties before we get ranked choice, putting the cart before the horse, in my opinion. That's my point. And on the issue of Democrats versus Republicans, we know either the Democrat or the Republican is going to win. And clearly we have a disagreement in terms of how good of a job Joe Biden is doing. Because like I said, I expected nothing of him, Briahna. I expected, this is the guy who brought us the Iraq War and the Patriot Act and NAFTA, and he's like the poster child of the conservative Democrat and the neoliberal. But then he gets in office and he does all these things which shock me. He massively reduced the drone war by over 90%. He, like I said, pulled out of Afghanistan.
This is where he starts listing off some stuff that makes it to where only listing. Now here's what I'll tell you. I'm gonna let him cook real quick. But here's what I will tell you. If you hear like the list that Hakeem said, that I have made that list myself, right? Like this is why I am not going to be mad at Biden if he loses. This is him. But if you hear that list and then you hear this list and you go, okay, I heard them both. I've digested them both. I find what he's doing still beyond the pale, and I'm not voting for him. I'm going to tell you that's okay. Got it. But you still have to do that while admitting they're not the same. But what I respect is to go, okay, bet he's not the same, but where they are the same is bad enough for me. I'm not voting for him. I can respect that. I can respect that. I just have to play this because the whole thing behind they're the same is just like, but they're not.
Afghanistan, the Supreme Court overturned the EPA's ability to regulate greenhouse gas emissions, and the Democrats slipped into the IRA a provision that redefines carbon as a pollutant, which then allows the EPA to start protecting the environment again. If we didn't get that, and yes, that was brought to us by Democrats, we would be beyond fucked on the issue of climate change. We still are, but we'd be even more fucked if the EPA couldn't do basic EPA stuff. We have project labor agreements for hundreds of thousands of construction workers. That came to us from Biden. $15 minimum wage for federal contractors and employees. That's from Biden. Gun reform with red flag laws and closing the boyfriend loophole. Those are definitely good things. Ketanji Brown Jackson on the court. A George Floyd executive order to create a registry of abusive cops. We have the PACT Act, which is health care for veterans exposed to toxic burn pits, which every single Republican voted against. He added 800,000 manufacturing jobs. I didn't expect any of these things. So when I talk about Biden the way I do, is because none of these things were on the menu and we got them. So now when I look at the fact it's either going to be Trump or Biden, a standard generic Republican or standard generic Democrat, the way I feel now versus the way I felt in the past is like, oh, this is definitely way better. If you asked me in 2019 or 2020, I'd be like, I don't know, man, flip a coin. 52%, maybe a Democrat's a little bit better than a Republican. Now I'm looking at it like, it's not even close. One blows the other out of the water, and all I care about is the policy. And when we have all these policies, I mean, we have a 15% corporate minimum tax rate now. That is not something we had previously. You'd have corporations paying nothing in taxes, or they'd even get a negative tax rate, which is a subsidy effectively from the taxpayers. These things are not nothing. We have a 1% tax on stock buybacks. They're cracking down on wealthy tax cheats. Like, all these things are very good. They're objectively good. So do you agree that Biden is better than what we expected on the left?
Maybe you've already set your expectations on the ground, and it seems like he's surpassed your expectations. He has not surpassed mine. I don't know what you want me to say.
But he's
about
not better
that.
than what you thought?
No,
That's an honest
he's not
question.
better than what I thought he would.
Really?
No.
So you expected to be better than I did, for sure.
I expected him to. Well, I didn't really expect him to fulfill his campaign promises, but I'm not going to pat him on the back when he so flagrantly lied about them. No.
But let me ask you a related but different question. I mean, how do you assess the difference between a Trump and a Biden? Acknowledging that, I mean, I think you would acknowledge it's not, Cornel West is not going to be president.
I'm going to be honest with you. If it's about convincing me how Briahna Joy Gray is going to vote, Briahna Joy Gray lives in D.C., is constructively disenfranchised, and Briahna Joy Gray also is sympathetic to accelerationist arguments. So I am not afraid of Trump, and I am.
Yeah, so that's it right there. That was the part that got me. And I remember when she first said that, I was like, that's wild. When it comes to accelerationism, right? There is something to accelerationism that I think. Hold on, let me. I don't want to. I do not want to sound condescending. Maybe I could be a doomer. I could be like you know, a Chicken Little. The sky is falling. When I imagine a revolution, when I imagine the fall of democracy, in whatever form we have it in, what we have is so much death and destruction. While it would be silly of me to mention things like Handmaid's Tale with regard to the government that took over, when I look at Myanmar, when I look at Gaza, when I look at Ukraine, when I look at these places that have lost control, and then what happens to the people who don't have the power? The fact of the matter is that can you explain to me briefly what acceleration is in my opinion? When I hear accelerationism, and I think that's a good question, and just asking it makes me start. If this is not what she means, then just disclaimer. If this is not what she means, then okay. But when I hear leftists talk about accelerationism, I'm hearing it in the context of revolution. That's what I'm hearing. And I don't want to put any words in her mouth, but I have literally spoken to online leftists. You know, like it's not like I'm out here on the streets talking to, you know, Karl Marx, but what I hear is, if this country falls, good, right? This country is evil. And if we get a Handmaid's Tale level of a fall, then the revolution begins. And I'm telling you, that is a fucking nightmare scenario to me. Like literally, like having dreams about living in, you know what I mean? I think this country should fall. Yeah. So that's what I'm talking about though, Z. So here's what I'll tell you. I don't disagree that what we've done from the start, but we're in it. Like, we're inside of it. Like, me, my kids, you, every gay person, every trans person, black, brown, indigenous, like, we're talking a phenomenal amount of death that would come. And you know what? Maybe we would win. Maybe we would win. I don't know if that's I'd be like, you know what? I'm gonna be honest with you. Maybe, you know what? You remember I said nobody. I don't give a fuck if people say I'm not a socialist. You're not a real leftist because you're not saying this, this, and that. Okay, I'll say this, and this part will be like, all right, if I'm not a socialist because of this, maybe I'm not a socialist. Okay, I'm a socialist. But if I did a Doctor Strange, I know you're not. No. Just no. I know you're not. I just think that would be a unavoidable consequence of a fallen United States. It would be an unavoidable consequence. We have too many fucking you look at January 6th, you look at Jim Crow South, you look at fucking, it's just like, if you think these motherfuckers will not just go on a fucking outright mass murder fucking march, pulling people out of their houses and killing them, you have a lot more faith in the fucking far right than I do. They are fucking psychotic. And so, but we're killing millions of people around the world. Yeah. And that's why, and maybe, fuck me, maybe you're right. In my mind, I'm like, okay, true. So let's march. Let's engage in civil disobedience. Let's make our voice heard. Let's back at the local level, in the city, in the state, socialists. We can get, maybe we can get at best AOC, and then you move left from there, right? I know that there's mixed feelings about AOC. I got it. But we could start at AOC and then go from there. But it's like, this is the take. This is the take that I'm okay if you want to take my socialist card for this. If I Doctor Stranged the future and I got all the I scanned 12 million possible futures of what happens when America falls, and I found a couple where we win, but none of those wins does not come with like millions of people dead. I'm telling you, I would work to prevent that. I'm like, no. Yeah, I can't. Like, that's the trolley situation. You know what I mean? That's the trolley situation. And I guess what I'll say is in closing, is if you would pull the lever to where the millions of people hit us as we move to revolution, I respect that. I mean, I'm like, okay. You know what I mean? Because you're right. My lever push is like, okay, we don't get hit, but now we're still just killing millions of people from around the world. So it's like, I get what you mean. I just don't think anybody really wants to go through the revolution. Thank you, Michael DeFonte. I appreciate that. That's right. If you're lurking over in the YouTube chat, brand spanking new. First time LeftFace TV has been live over on the YouTube chat. Finally got the multi-stream up now that Twitch allows it. Probably could have got away with it before anyway, but I'm a good boy and I like to follow rules. Clearly. I did promise we were gonna do Miss Me Yet, so let's get this. Look at that. The duality of man. So we just got done watching Briahna Joy give takes that I disagree with. But now let's watch Briahna Joy be based as fuck and wreck a Zionist journalist. I don't think doing something that would result in more death is ever the answer. However, I just think it needs to get taken down. I agree. I agree. I just don't want to do it as an accelerationist. I don't think I would be. That would literally not be a socialist. I think that would be a fair assessment to go. If you are okay with our current system and you don't want to replace what we have, then you're not a socialist. I think that's just definitional at that point. I just don't want to see it to where we're looking at like a Cuba situation type shit. You know what I mean? Like, it's like that might work for a population of 1 million. That shit is not going to work with a population of 320 million. You know what I mean? Shit's wild. All right. Duality of Man. Briahna Joy talks to a journalist, a Zionist, and the journalist gets wrecked. So let's watch some more Briahna Joy. That's why I put her on the thumbnail over there, because I'm like, we're gonna be talking about Briahna Joy a lot. I have a feeling. Here's the thing. Disagree with her. She has a lot of things that I am just fine disagreeing with, but I'm not gonna call her stupid. That's for sure. She's good at what she does.
It's not true. Listen to this.
As the war between Israel and Hamas continues with no end in sight, representatives of the Islamic Republic of Iran have begun to saber rattle in an attempt to get Arab republics on the side of destroying the Jewish state. During an international forum in Doha yesterday, Iran's foreign minister said that the only thing Iran...
Hey, whoever this dude is, just watch his face. Just watch his face as Briahna goes in. It reminds me of the dude off of Saturday Night Live. He's just like... I'm kind of uncomfortable right here. I'm not used to this level of conflict. But Briahna Joy is great. Briahna Joy's like, I'm gonna get mine in here. I like this a lot.
And Israel share is that both do not believe in a two-state solution, and that a referendum should be held to determine the fate of Palestine, with only descendants of those who lived there prior to 1948 being permitted to vote. Iran's involvement in the current conflict hasn't received very much scrutiny. For our next guest, editor-in-chief of the Foreign Desk, Lisa Deftari, it should. Welcome to the show, Lisa.
Thank you for having me.
So how should we think about Iran's current, what they've said about the conflict going on?
It's not just currently, it's for 44 years. Ever since this regime came into power in Iran, its mission has been to destroy the Middle East and the global community in terms of its instability, in terms of exporting terrorism, in terms of putting billions and billions of dollars annually into different terror proxies, including Hezbollah, Hamas, and the insurgencies in Syria, Iraq, and Yemen that we're seeing attacking U.S. assets. So when we're hearing more of this muscle flexing by Iran's regime, it only means one thing, that our foreign policy is weak and that they believe that they have the upper hand to continue making their threats, continue with their human rights abuses at home, continue with attacking our assets in the region, and of course continue with their support.
So it is sped up, by the way. It is sped up. She's not like it's in my head. I was like, damn, she's really going. I'm like, oh yeah, it's fast.
Of terror proxies that are, again, contributing majorly to the instability of not just the region, but the world as a whole.
It seems like the visual images of the atrocities happening in Gaza, the 18,000 people who have been killed in the last 2 months, the bulk of whom are women and children, the 10,000 estimated children that have been killed, the destruction of 80% of housing stock, et cetera, and the critique from the international community has actually had a significant effect on the public perception of Israel and Palestine, United States, such that demographic groups that once disproportionately favored Israel in this conflict are flipping the other way. If you believe that Iran are bad faith actors in all of this, what do you think should happen in Gaza that would not enable them to continue to say, well, look, there's a real humanitarian crisis going on here. The reason we should all be on side is to stop the humanitarian crisis that Israel is inflicting upon Gaza, as opposed to the framing that you offered, world domination, exporting terrorism, those kinds of things.
Right. Great question. And I love the way that you set it up very well. Most people do not know all the...
I don't think you were paying attention, ma'am. I don't think you were paying attention. You're going to regret that. You're going to realize that you do not have an ally on the screen.
nuances that you just referred to, but I will start with this. There are two wars currently going on. One is in the Middle East between Hamas and Israel. It is not the first time we have seen Hamas and Israel fight. When you see Hamas and Israel fighting, that's where I alluded to Iran being the funder and the entity that trained these terrorists. So it's really a proxy war between Iran's regime and Israel, and that will remain in the Middle East. The other war that we're watching is the narrative war.
She's dead and she doesn't even know it.
That is being pushed by the mainstream media, college campuses. We're seeing social media obviously being a huge culprit in all of this, in choosing sides based on these false narratives. You alluded to a death toll. There absolutely have been many innocent Palestinians killed. I'll be the first one to say that. We don't know the exact death toll because, again, it is coming from Hamas. It's coming from the Ministry of Health inside Gaza, which is run by Hamas. I will also point to the fact that
I never understand why they feel the need to say we don't know the number. Like, okay, what does the IDF say? What does the IDF say? You know what I know? I was a controller. I say this a lot, right? It sounds like I'm a proud of it. Listen, I know the process. Okay? I know the process. You know what you do when you do a strike? You do a battle damage assessment, or you do a strike assessment, right? You have intel. Right? You do not believe they do not have intel on who was in that building. They have estimates. What are their estimates? What are their BDA? It's called BDA, battle damage assessment, or their bomb hit assessment. What does their BDA or BHA say about those hits? Are you hiding them? I know they're there in your reports. I know they're in your misreps. I know that for a fact that you have, for your intel, estimates. Why aren't you putting them out there? Are they half? Because if they're half, we're talking about 4,500 babies dead, 5,000 babies dead. That's why it doesn't fucking matter.
Many of these casualties are what we call collateral damage, meaning Israel, in its duty to defend itself and to eradicate Hamas, is going in and finding Hamas fighters, many times using their innocent civilians, babies, children, as human shields, hiding them in hospitals, creating situations where their own constituents, their own civilians are in harm.
You say hiding babies in hospitals? Wait, I might have misheard that.
Way, not evacuating them in time, etc. Look, this is not pretty. It's war. And I think a lot of what is lost here is what happened on October 7th. I hear John Kirby really banging his head against the podium every other day when he has these press conferences, again, reminding reporters to start at the origin of all this, which is October 7th. Even if we want to go beyond that, this is a terror organization that is running or in charge of the leadership of the Palestinian people inside Gaza. So when people talk about the disproportionality, let's start with the fact that we're fighting, or the world is fighting, a terror organization with Israel doing the dirty work. It's very, very unfortunate.
Yeah, I have. It's awesome. I didn't watch the second one. I know he was on for a longer interview and then a second time, and I actually have not seen that one.
That this has become so, choosing sides. I mean, in Los Angeles here over the weekend, we had pro-Palestinian protesters became very, very violent. They vandalized a church and many apartment buildings along the Wilshire Quarter near UCLA with graffiti. There were swastikas on 4 or 5 different buildings that I personally saw. I did a walkthrough early morning before they were able to cover up the graffiti. Now, it's a long stretch to connect a swastika with Bibi Netanyahu's policies in Israel. This is
no, it's not. That's problematic. But it's not. You are demonizing the Palestinian people. You are killing them with abandon. It's not a stretch, and it's sad that it's not a stretch. It is tragic that it's not a stretch.
Turned into open and unashamed anti-Semitism all over the world. And that's where we have to stop it. We have to correct the narrative here. And again, if people are really interested in the geopolitics of it, I remind you to go back and look at what Iran's regime is doing.
That is actually accidentally a good point. I will say this much. I highly encourage every single person who is disgusted and angry at Israel, at what the IDF is doing to the Palestinians, what the people of Israel has been doing to the Palestinians since 1948. I want to, and especially 1967. I want you to understand something. This is a very, very short step to anti-Semitism. Very short. It's easy. And so constantly be doing self-reflection, testing, like, what am I believing? My daughter, so proud of her. My daughter has never been into politics, but as she gets older, she's a mom. She's 24 and 24. Yeah, she'll be 24. And 23. And she has, this event has catapulted her into politics. And because she's young and she's kind of new to this, I'll get stuff where she's like, hey, is this true? She like, for example, this is an example. She sent me a video where it showed a bunch of presidents, like Reagan, everybody, at the Wailing Wall with a yarmulke. And the TikTok video was very careful to just have this kind of like spooky-ish, like dance music with this hard beat, but it was like also like kind of like imposing, menacing, right? And she goes, "Is this true? Where have all these presidents, like, our presidents weren't Jewish? What is this?" And I'm like, Celeste, I'll tell you what this is. This is Nazi shit. And this is what that is. Presidents will visit the Wailing Wall, and out of respect for the cultural tradition, they'll put the yarmulke on and they'll say a prayer at the wall. Like, there is no way that this video is doing anything besides the Jews run the world trope. And you have to be able to recognize that and shut that shit down every time. And Nazis will use what's happening right now. And all of us who are being anti-Zionists, all of us who are calling this a genocide, they will be like, yeah. And they will fucking try to infiltrate, and they'll do shit. And you have to be able to recognize that shit and shut it down. The entire reason 1948 happened. Oh, shit, that's big. Here, let's do this. We can use this. Let's use this as a. Yeah, I like that one better. There we go. Originally, the new Israel was supposed to be in Madagascar. It didn't happen. Holocaust happened. The whole reason Europe was so behind setting up a place for Jewish people was that because they were too many Jews where they already were, and it was an attempt at displacement already. Yep. I didn't. I'm not 100% about the Madagascar thing. I do know that prior to buying land, prior to like 1918, they had already started to buy land from the Ottomans. But before it was settled that they would go to Israel, it was, because you got to remember, from a religious aspect, like rebuilding the temple and like the home of Israel is wherever the fuck they are. Like, you think God cares about a piece of earth, right? And so I know Alaska was on the list. They were looking at Alaska. There's a what is it called? The Jewish there's like a city in. There's a city in Russia, like an area in Russia that's like for Jews, but naturally they wanted to get the fuck out of there. And then, like you said, like straight up, no shit, anti-Semitism drove them to expedite, get the fuck out of here type shit. And of course, if you're the Zionists, you're like, yeah, that's what I'm talking about.
Where they're putting their money, how they're treating their own.
But I will say that counter to a lot of the Palestinian talking points, the idea that no Jews should have came back to Israel is not something that I'm behind. Many Jews that came during between 1918, early 1900s to between then and 1948, they were refugees, right? They were refugees escaping persecution. There's absolutely nothing wrong with Jewish people going back to the home of their ancestors from 2,000 years prior, you know?
Citizens, and ask an Iranian inside Iran who's been on the streets for the last year with the protests that unfolded after the 22-year-old Mahsa Amini was killed for not wearing her headscarf properly. Ask those women who are taking to the streets how they feel about their government, how they feel about Israel, how they feel about the war going on right now. You'll get a more accurate answer out of one of them than you.
100%. That's what I say. And I have had conversations with like people like in the pro-Palestinian movement. Like I'm gonna join my local one. And I'll probably keep that little tidbit to myself unless, you know, I'm kind of forced to. I think I'm going to have the leaders of that group on the show. We'll have a little talk here. But the idea that there should be no Israel, there should be no Jewish people there, that's wild. That's just like, that's ethno-state in the other direction. As I make an analysis of the situation, Jews showing up to Israel is not the problem. Jews showing up to Israel and establishing an ethno-state and ousting 750,000 Palestinians. There's your problem.
Will, from the influencers who are leading the discussion on social media.
There's a lot there. I guess I can start by asking you, you said that this started on October 7th, but of course, as many people point out, this is
Allow the cooking to begin.
the conflict that's been going on for 75 years since the 1948 Nakba, during which 700,000 Palestinians were forcibly removed from their homes in Israel, and many of whom were forced into Gaza. The population in Gaza is largely, even before this crisis, an itinerant migratory population, refugee population. And of course, some of the most egregious early bombing campaigns that we saw in Gaza were those that were targeting, or at least they hit, whether or not they were targeting, hit various refugee camps like Jabalia within Gaza. And
they were targeting. I want you all to go Google Israel IDF and then put quotes, right? So you specifically get this result. Put quotes around power targets, so that way your result includes power targets. Learn, if you don't already know. If you know already, then you're already disgusted. But just go figure out what a power target is. Dr. Midnight, thanks for swinging by, and thanks for lurking over on the YouTube. Appreciate you. I'm actually gonna have to give my sincerest and deepest apologies to Sig Fang, moderator extraordinaire. We're gonna have to do Miss Me Yet tomorrow because I talk too damn much. I don't have a Blur Without Fear to keep me on track, like I do, like we have in Nerds of Culture. But I'm gonna make sure. And tomorrow's Saturday too, so it's like you don't have the what you call it. You don't have the we don't have Democracy Now! The first thing we're gonna watch tomorrow is episode 7 of Miss Me Yet from Means TV. I swear it. I swear it by the old gods and the new.
and along with UN targets and other hospitals, churches, mosques, universities, and other places that seem to have no tactical or military relevance. Of course, we know that Israel has repeatedly claimed that Hamas is under every building an innocent person it has hit. But as we've just reported earlier this week on the show, an Israeli analysis, along with other international analysis, showed that Israel has been doing a worse job of avoiding civilians than any other conflict zone in the world in the last 20 years. The ratio of civilians that have been hit as compared to their own articulated stated targets has been wildly askew. That being the case, and given that this is rooted back in 1948, and the fundamental concern that is being raised by people in
I love that. See, you don't let them get away with that shit. It's not about October 7th. They want to nail it to October 7th so that they can maintain the moral high ground and kill as many fucking people as they possibly can, as they can get away with. This goes back to 1948. This goes back to 1967. This is more than Hamas. This is more than October 7th.
Palestine and much of the Arab world is the ongoing occupation of the people of Gaza and their inability to have their own
sorry,
state.
I have to stop you right there because there are a few things you said that
I didn't interrupt you, Miss Lisa.
I didn't interrupt you.
Well, look, I let you say what you wanted to say. You characterized the protests in ways that I would not. They were protesting Joe Biden's visit to LA. You made a lot of characterizations that I would personally object to, but I just want to narrow it down if I could and ask you about what do you say to people who say this conflict did not in fact start on October 7th, that prior to October 7th, Israel had already killed hundreds of Palestinians.
See what I'm saying? She's good. I don't care what she has some hot takes that I disagree with, but she is good at her job.
The death toll of Israel killing Palestinians has always historically been higher than the other way around. And is the fighting ever going to stop if the people of Gaza and the people of Palestine aren't allowed to have their own freedom?
I mean, there's so much to correct here, and I say correct because this is what I do for a living. In terms of its history, you said so many things that are incorrect. In 1948, even prior to that, the Palestinians were offered two states. They were offered their own state, and at that point, they would have a larger state than the state of Israel. Then, if you want to move forward, the number of casualties, well, why are they massacring Jews, innocent civilians, and not expecting there to be any sort of retaliation? The Biden protests that you're talking about, yes, it was in the reaction to Biden coming to Los Angeles for a fundraiser. But were there not swastikas on buildings? Was a church not vandalized here in Los Angeles? I mean, when you talk about the disproportionality in numbers, you're framing it in a very dishonest way, and that's why I have to stop you. If we want to have some sort of dialogue about this, we have to.
I don't know if y'all can hear. Listen closely. Listen closely. Like, what do you hear in the background? Because for some reason, none of these news places have any sort of noise gate. I don't get it. But listen carefully what you hear in the background of her talking.
And that's why I have to stop you. If we want to have some sort of dialogue about this, we have to start with facts. We can't just be throwing out emotional things.
Briahna was like, oh, you done fucked up now. I love it.
Like the Hamas says, Gaza was evacuated in 2005 and given to the Palestinians to have self-determination of Gaza. In 2007, they voted in an election Hamas. Hamas is the official leadership of Gaza. So when they're not moving their constituents out of harm's way, and that death toll goes up, and then you talk about why is there a disproportionate death toll, Israel does its best to remove people. And if you've seen the flyers, I've seen them, I've been there. I've actually seen how they get people out, and they actually go with the loudspeakers and the megaphones and they try to get them out, which absolutely goes against their military strategy, by the way. They allow people to move out, and Hamas tells them not to. We saw the footage of Israeli tanks escorting Gazans out of harm's way. We saw the United States go to bat to get American Palestinians out of Gaza when the Hamas would not let them out. I mean, we have to talk about facts in order to, again, come up with a better solution going forward. If there should be a two-state solution, are we dealing with the Hamas that does not want to live side by side within Israel? It's actually in the Hamas charter to eliminate Jews, not just Israel.
That's literally not true, Lisa. It hasn't been true for years. And so you're telling me that I don't.
See, this is the problem right here. I want you to see this face right here. This is. I have a pretty good free pause. That's what's up, Nick033. Welcome. Love to see it. Listen, I think personally, I don't want to pat myself too hard on the back, but I think I'm a pretty good judge of like nonverbals. And when Briahna Joy Gray tells her that's not true, it hasn't been true for years, I want you to watch her face. And I want you to see the sincere disbelief, the shock. Just watch.
Years. And so you're telling me that I don't need to be emotional.
That's sincere. Like, what? Like, what? Where are you? What? There are people so stuck in their echo chamber, in their, like, what I want to believe, and they will never go and, Nani? They will never go and challenge themselves. Ever. And what she is talking about is the original charter did call for the eradication of Israel. That charter, by multiple Hamas leadership has there have been statements that we have to move past it. It is not applicable anymore. That's for a different time, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And then in 2017, 6 years ago, it's almost 7 now, it was rewritten, and that is not in their charter. This journalist doesn't know that. And most people who keep saying that over and over and over keep saying it because there are people who do know that, like Netanyahu types, who will still just keep saying it over and over, knowing they're lying. I don't know that she doesn't know that. Maybe she'll feel like an idiot when she goes and fact checks herself after this, but it's wild.
I don't feel like that's what's happening here, Lisa. It sounds like you just said a lot of things that were factually untrue. For one, I don't know if there were swastikas at that event, but I do know that there was recently.
What do you mean? It's out there. It's not my opinion.
Let me finish my thought. Like I've let you. I don't think anyone could dispute that. I just let you speak until you naturally finish. Okay.
You're absolutely right.
But I do know that there was just yesterday.
And nobody would dispute that is literally a tactic so that you could do that. I'm Puerto Rican. Yo.
Yesterday or the day before yesterday, a scandal where in San Francisco, someone alleged that someone wrote "Free Gaza, Kill Jews, Allah Akbar" on a wall. The Muslim community was outraged because Allah Akbar, ALLAH, is not Arabic and is not the phrase.
Bienvenidos. Are you a no sabo Puerto Rican like me?
That was trying to be gotten across. It was clearly a framing attempt from someone who's not even familiar enough with the language to accurately even do a false flag. So with all of that going on, I would rather stick to the facts that we do know as opposed to what happened at a given rally where the overwhelming majority of people were simply protesting what the international community has now characterized as an ongoing genocide. And I just would like you to answer the fundamental question here. You say that Gazans had self-determination and that Israel very politely evacuated Gaza so that they could live there. But of course, as you well know, they're not allowed to have an airport. They're not allowed to come and go. Israel controls their access to water and electricity and the internet. You know that they were put on a calorie restrictive diet so that they...
She's very frustrated. That's why you do that. That's why it's the tactic. You're like, I'm going to let you speak for however long you want to speak. Because when it's my turn, you're going to sit there and you're going to shut the fuck up, just like I did. And then what you get is this internal temper tantrum. Soy una empanada comiendo rico. You're an empanada eater. Yeah. Dale español porque no hablo.
And the internet. You know that they were put on a calorie restrictive diet so that they calculated how much people need to survive to be just above starving and allow that exact number of calories to come within Gaza. And
you're an empanada eater Rican, right? Is that what this is?
And that's the state that they were living under occupation up until October 7th and throughout. So the question is, do you expect that there will be an end to the fighting? Do you expect the Gazans to stop resisting their occupation if they never are allowed to have genuine self-determination?
Says this. Listen, how many millions of dollars did this massacre on Israel cost Hamas? Why wasn't that money put into giving them more calories? Why are they spending all their money and resources?
This face that she makes.
On creating bombs and tunnels instead of using those pipes to give the Gazans clean water. I mean, I'm sorry, but you're framing these questions in a way that it's like there's a lot of logic. But we're talking about a terror organization that does not care.
Y tú también, and thanks for swinging by, La Liza. I appreciate it.
About the Gazans, and you're asking for the international community and Israel, the United States and the UN to care more for the Gazans than their own leadership does. Let's start with step one, calling out Hamas as a terror organization. Step two, calling out the massacre of October 7th as a terror attack. Step three, talking about Iran's regime responsibility and all this in funding Hamas and training.
Oh man, you missed it. You missed it. We're almost at the end here, and then we're gonna say goodnight. Check this shit out. Remember now, Hamas is a terrorist organization. Remember.
Community and Israel, the United States and the UN to care more for the Gazans than their own leadership does. Let's start.
What? Mask off? Did we just go mask off? Did you? I thought you said Hamas was a terrorist organization. Are you saying that you don't care about the Palestinian people more than a terrorist a terrorist organization? Is that what you're saying? And that you find it ridiculous to have people, citizens of the United States, citizens of Israel, Jewish people all around the world, to expect people to care for Palestinians in Gaza more than a terrorist organization? Interesting.
With step one, calling out Hamas as a terror organization. Step two, calling out the
She can't but laugh. She's like, you dumb bitch.
massacre of October 7th as a terror attack. Step three, talking about Iran's regime responsibility and all this in funding Hamas and training those Hamas militants. Step four, I did an article in 2014 that got me put on the Hamas hit list where I interviewed dozens of Palestinians living in Gaza that said that they blame Hamas for the trajectory of their lives and not Israel. These are realities. The Palestinian people are in fact victims, but they're not victims of the international community and Israel. They're victims of their own leadership, whether it's the PA or Hamas. And that is what we have to talk about. The caloric diet, I mean, and look at this massacre that happened. If you
What
were
about the
Israel,
caloric diet? Do you want to finish that thought? What about
She's good. I don't care. She's good. She won so much love from me on this one video. No. You said it. Continue. Please continue.
the caloric diet?
I mean, and look at this massacre that happened. If you
What
were
about the
Israel,
caloric diet? Do you want to finish that thought? What about the caloric diet? Do you want to finish that thought? How do you justify keeping a population near starving?
Listen, the Hamas needs to provide more for its citizens. Doesn't need.
Look at this. Ah, no, not that one. Shit, fuck. Oh my God. Hold on a second. Hold on. This is what I get for. See, that's why I don't lock shit. Left monitor. All right, here we go. Boom. Dude from Saturday Night Live is like, do we have any white leftists I can do this with? Like, I'm not saying shit. You hear the producer in his ear. Hey, can you try to take control of this? It's kind of getting out of control. And he's like, no, I am not touching this. You can't stand her ass. Oh shit.
To spend millions of dollars.
That phase, man. Let me tell you something. Black women just stay winning. God damn. Like, God gave him a face that just kill you. I don't even believe in God. I don't know why I said that. But you know what I meant. Look at this.
Listen, the Hamas needs to provide more for its citizens. Doesn't need to spend millions of dollars.
How should they do that? How
Look at all the humanitarian aid that went in. How much of that do you think?
Ma'am, are you aware that there's a blockade on Gaza? Ma'am, are you aware that there's a blockade on Gaza? Gazans aren't even allowed to fish off the coast of their own land because of the Israeli blockade.
This is absolutely is absolutely not true. It's not true.
He's got it. Test. Yeah, okay. Let me calm down. Oh, we're knocking the cables out of my thing. Look at that.
There's a blockade on Gaza. Gazans aren't even allowed to fish.
Watch the end. Right, this is it. Right, it's third and eighth. The journalist, she either gets the first down or it's over, and she stopped right there. Stopped on fourth and ninth, and it was over. It was done. It was a done deal. Oh my God. I wish she'd be a little bit more forceful, or at least call her a liar. No. See, here's the thing. I think she did really well. I get the sentiment, but I think this was even better. Because here's the deal. If she had gone in harder, then they get to just fall back on the angry black woman trope. This is so much better because she goes, nope, I'm not going to let you try to turn the shit on me. I'm going to be cool, calm, and collected. I'm going to let you hang yourself. I'm going to give you all the rope. You're going to say dumb shit like, we're supposed to care more about the Palestinian people than who? The people you just called terrorists? Yes. yes, I'm going to let you trip and fall into talking about calorie restrictions, and then very like, no, do you want to, no, do you want to finish that sentence, please? Did you want to finish that? And it's like, God, just smooth. Like I'm imagining this fucking dope ass anime, and there's like this person with a giant fucking sword, and the one with the little tiny fucking like whoosh, 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 without making a sound.
The coast of their own land because of the Israeli blockade.
This is absolutely
All
this is
right.
absolutely not true. It's not true. Listen to this. The checks that they have on Gaza.
I take back everything I've ever said bad about Briahna. She's always been right. She's always right. She's always been right. I take it all back.
Is because of pure security. When they use an ambulance with a fake pregnant woman inside of it to conduct a suicide bombing on the border or come into Israel, this is why they need to have a checkpoint there. Does that not make sense? Does Israel not have to protect itself for things like October 7th not to happen over and over again? The way Hamas has sworn it will happen over and over and over again. And to the international community that's calling for a ceasefire, we would all love to see this war end. But before you call for a ceasefire, call for those hostages to be released. Call for Hamas to put down.
You mean the hostages that Israel killed at least three of, and maybe more by bombing and not even knowing where the fuck they're at? Is that those hostages? Okay.
Weapons. Call for Iran's regime to stop supporting terror organizations. This is what we all want. We would love for there to be Palestinians and Jews living side by side in peace. All of the world, all of the countries in the Middle East living side by side in peace. But it has to start with rooting out terror organizations that use the people's money to conduct a jihad and not give them food, not give them water, not give them shelter.
Lisa, here's a question I have. What if in the course of rooting out Hamas, as Israel is doing now, there are so many civilian casualties that we create more Hamas fighters in the future, relatives of the people who died, Hamas becomes...
She don't give a fuck about that, bro. She don't give a fuck about that, just like the United States didn't give a fuck about that. Do you know how many so we got 20 years. How long is a generation? You know what I mean? We had multiple generations of brand fucking new terrorists. Like the development of ISIS was a result of our actions in Iraq and in other places in the Middle East. It's like this whole like, but they're gonna create more terrorists. It's like, yeah, but we don't care about that as long as we get to kill as many people as we want.
Israel.
Try again, or could be true, but what's the alternative? For Israel to sit back and say, well, try again, or maybe, and the fact that they're letting 3 terrorists out of prison for every 1 civilian hostage that they get back.
That's not true. At a certain point, it becomes
absolutely true. I don't understand where you guys are getting your talking points from. This is absolutely true.
Ma'am, the idea that every statement that is not uncritically supportive of Israel in every respect, including the ongoing genocide in Gaza, is a talking point or somehow being a mouth point for Hamas is a way to silence the discourse around this really important issue. So, look, we appreciate you coming and speaking your piece on the show today. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you.
Flawless victory. Oh shit. Oh man, Sick Fang's not gonna see the goodbye. I have to apologize to him. I gotta apologize. I'll DM him. Brutality. Man. See, I'm easy. This is why when it comes to like content creation, I'm gonna keep my happy ass right here with the homies. Cause I can't really I don't want to swim out that way, because I mean, I was talking mad shit about her 3 months ago when that video came out. Well, because I thought her shit was silly there, and then you put out another video and it's like, man, that's money. And because I don't know her, she's not my friend. She's not she's a public figure on a YouTube channel, and sometimes you think it's stupid and sometimes you think it's dope, and you should be able to do that, but not out here, not in these streets. Like, oh, you didn't like that video? Man, her and 17 other, not her, but like, how these people do out here. Yeah, and 7 other content creators, they're all blacklisting you, and now you're not allowed on panels, and now I'm gonna do a 3-hour live show leaking DMs that, when you were hitting on me and blah 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 blah. I was like, that shit is so whack. I was all in on Briahna back in the Bernie days. After Bernie, she was okay, but she got wild on the secular talk shit. Now Bernie days came back. Yeah, I'm liking it. I'm liking it. It could also be like topic specific, topic dependent too. Like Anna's not back. I mean, you were saying it last night. Like, she's still fucking saying wild shit. She sucks. But get Anna talking about Israel-Palestine, and she's good too. You know, she's good too. Just like, all right, just, you want to talk about trans shit, just go away. Go somewhere else. Come back to me when you want to talk about Israel-Palestine. You know what I'm saying? Oh shit. All right, let's see what we got here. All right. So real quick, for those who weren't here at the beginning, we got a new chat system set up, and we have a new chat system because we now stream over on YouTube. So nothing else is changing. I am streaming here, and I will be streaming on YouTube. I'm not monetized on YouTube. But I would like to change that. But not monetized means no emotes, no super chats, none of that stuff. So if you want to be able to still support and stuff like that, you still have the donate button and all of that. But I would love if you guys lurked over on the YouTube side and we can get that thing up and going. That's my goal for this year, for 2024. I would like my 2024 goal is to get the YouTube channel monetized. And my first step to do that is to start streaming more on there, which means dual streaming. I will start making a more concerted effort to get segmented videos up there as well. But step one is to make sure I finally got my ass, stop being lazy, and figured out the whole dual streaming thing and all that. So that's the step. I will be fixing the command. So I've realized that nothing's wrong with the donate link. It's just where the punctuations are it breaks the link. So I gotta go fix that. But other than that, I do support. I do appreciate all of y'all's support. I lied earlier, especially to the homie, the moderator extraordinaire, Sig Fang, Architect of Sin. I said we were going to do Miss Me Yet. We are not going to do Miss Me Yet because I'm going to go watch movies with my wife. But tomorrow I'm going to make up for it. I usually don't stream on weekends, but I'm going to do a short stream tomorrow. And that stream tomorrow will start at around 8 p.m. and we will do Miss Me Yet for sure. 100%. With that said, ladies, gentlemen, and MBs, that is the show. I am Robo. This is LeftFace, and I appreciate your support. Anybody lurking here, or anybody still lurking over on the YouTube side, if anybody, thank you for your support. And I am out of here. Yeah.